So you're thinking about moving to Forney, Texas, but you kind of want to know the good and the bad before you move to Forney, Texas. Well, in this video, we're going to be discussing just that. We'll kind of give you the downside of living in Forney, but we'll also give you the upside as well. We're getting a lot of interest in Forney, and I tell you what, we've put some great families over there, helped them find some really nice homes, a lot of new construction going on. It's the #1 city in Kaufman County, and Kaufman County is one of the fastest growing, in the top 5 fastest growing suburbs or counties in the United States right now. So a lot is happening right there, but we want you to kind of know what you're getting into before you head to Forney. And we know dealing with a lot of out-of-state buyers coming from California, New York, Illinois, Washington State, that sometimes you're seeing these places for the first time. So hopefully this kind of gives you a good overview on Forney, and we're going to get after it right now. If this is your first time to the channel and you want to know everything there is about living in Dallas, Texas, and the surrounding areas like Forney, then subscribe below, tap the bell for notifications so you can be the first to learn about the current market in Dallas. My name is Levi. You know, the team and I, we get calls and emails every single day from people just like you and you and you and you looking to make their move to Dallas. We absolutely love it. So whether you're moving in 9 days or 90 days, just give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email. Happy to help you make a smooth move to Dallas. So as I mentioned, we're going to be discussing the pros and cons, the good and the bad of Forney, Texas. And we're going to start out with the negatives, just because that's what everybody wants to know, right? All the bad things. And I will say #1 on the negatives list is going to be the proximity to the airport. So if you're a frequent traveler, then this is going to be a little bit of a trek for you. Forney is about 45 minutes without traffic to get to the airport. So with traffic, that could probably be anywhere from an hour to an hour 15, maybe even an hour and a half, just depending on what time you need to get to the airport. But otherwise, you're going to have to go from the far east side of Dallas to the far southeast side of Dallas to the the northwest side of Dallas, where the airport is located. So you're going to have to go all the way through downtown or around downtown, either to the south or to the north of it. There's different navigational ways to get there, depending on what you use. I always recommend the app Waze. You can program, like if you got a flight at 8 a.m. and you want to be at the airport by 6 a.m., you can pre-program the night before that you want to be at the airport at 8 a.m. and it will tell you the exact time you need to leave. So it may say you only need to leave at 6:15 to get there by 8 or 6:45, just depending on when you need to get exactly to the airport. So I love that app, and so that is a big time saver, and I don't have to guess. It's never really steered me wrong. I don't think I've ever been late anywhere as long as I left on time or the time that it told me. So that does help a lot, especially if you're going to be commuting around Dallas or maybe having some meetings downtown from time to time or going to other areas. Then it also helps you program whatever your appointment time is. You can program that in, and it'll always tell you when to leave your house. And I absolutely love that, because especially meeting clients, all different areas and all different parts of town, I can never time it accordingly, but it accounts for traffic and everything. So it's pretty amazing. It's a great app. That's the app Waze. No affiliation, no sponsorships. This is not a paid sponsorship, by the way. I just really love that app, so I think it's really good for you. The second biggest con of Forney is going to be property taxes. They're a little bit higher in that area, so they're in the upper 2s, just depending on the community or the different suburb. There could be different things to take into factors. Just want to confirm the tax rates. Probably going to be around 2.6, 2.7, could be 2.8. Some new communities are in the 3s. So that's just something you always want to verify ahead of time. Keep that in mind. Anytime we're looking at property, we always want to account for property taxes. But ultimately, when you speak with a lender and we get a good faith estimate based on your budget, they're going to lump all that in, into the monthly payment. So you'll know if you're working with a certain budget, we'll base that off the house price, your taxes, your insurance. All that will be escrowed. And when we say escrow, that just means it'll all be lumped together in a monthly payment. So as long as we can stay within your budget, it's one of those things where, hey, it is what it is, right? Taxes are not the funnest thing to discuss here in Texas, but there's a company called Texas Tax Protest. Again, no affiliation, no sponsorship, but I just think that they have a great service to offer. And, it's just something that to keep in mind. They'll actually dispute your taxes and get them locked in for usually up to 3 years. They can get your taxes taxes at whatever rate they get locked in. And I think it's well worth the cost to hire them to do that. That's what they specialize in. You just pay them a flat fee and then they take care of the rest. It's absolutely amazing. I've used them and they really helped me out in getting my taxes reduced, because as soon as I moved into my house, the appraisal district tried to raise it almost the value of my house $100,000 more than what I bought it for. So you got to stay on top of the appraisal districts, and you have certain time frames that you can dispute your taxes. So if you get a tax bill or a tax assessment, then you need to pay attention to that and make sure that you dispute that in a timely manner, because that is exactly what happened to me. I moved in and they assessed my home $100,000 more than I paid for it. That is completely unfair. And so even though Texas is the great state of Texas, the tax department is the tax department, right? So just keep an eye on them, but also there is backup, there is some help that you can hire to dispute those. All right, I'd say number 3 for the biggest negative with Forney is going to be traffic, because it is growing so quickly. And of course, it was a smaller community, a lot of 2-lane roads that are now needing to be 4-lane roads. So that's something to keep in mind. Some of the areas coming from the communities, the new build communities going into town, there's a little bit of some traffic areas. Actually, there's a couple of neighborhoods. If you saw our other video on the top 6 neighborhoods, then a Forney, Greyhawk and Overland Grove, those are 2 neighborhoods where when you're going back into town, there's a turn to get to the highway. Well, there's a railroad track right there. And so that is an issue as far as getting backed up, because if a train is coming through a couple of times per day, I'm not sure what the exact schedule is, but whenever it does, it's going to block it up. And there's kind of a bottleneck there. That's just one spot. On the other side of the highway as well, there's a little bit of traffic as far as getting onto the highway. So that's something you definitely want to keep in mind. Anytime you're in a developing community that's growing so fast, like I said, Forney is the top town in Kaufman County. Kaufman County is one of the fastest, in the top 5 fastest growing suburbs or counties. County, suburbs, towns, it all just starts to run together. But anyways, Kaufman County, where Forney is located in, is one of the fastest growing in the country right now. It's so much development. Anytime that happens, the roads usually need to catch up to the development and the population. So just be mindful of that. But otherwise, hey, turn on the radio, get a good audiobook, something along those lines, and you should be okay. All right, the 4th biggest downside or con to Forney is, I would say it's just out there on its own. So again, that's what attracts most people to it. What they like about it is it's kind of a country town, just 20 minutes outside of Dallas, but otherwise there's not much around there. Now you have a super Walmart. You've got the 2 most important things, which is Chipotle and Starbucks, right? So you have those as well. You've got several other smaller restaurants, some chain restaurants, fast food. You have everything you need right there. But as far as if you want to get to downtown Dallas, that's only 20 minutes away, so that's not too bad. But otherwise, there's not really neighboring cities that you can just bop over to and enjoy their amenities as well. Now you got Rockwall is not too far, and you've got Lake Ray Hubbard right around the corner. So you've got quicker access to the lake. So that's actually a good thing. And then Rockwall is about 15 minutes away, which Rockwall has some great dining and restaurants. We've actually got a full vlog tour on Rockwall. We even have a full map tour on Rockwall as well. So you could check those out if you want. But otherwise, if you want to get over to Rockwall in the evening, those restaurants and bars along the lake have the best sunsets in all of Dallas. So you can sit there. The sun sets on the west side. It's really amazing. You could head back home to Forney. Hey, it's about a 15, probably 20-minute drive, just depending on the situation. You should be good to go. But otherwise, Forney is just kind of out there on its own. So, you can look at that either way. That could be a good thing or a bad thing. All right, now we're going to jump into the pros of Forney right now. And I would say number 1, the biggest pro about Forney is it is very affordable. You can find some great new construction homes in Forney right now. We've got a couple as low as $300,000. Now, those are extremely limited, but at the same time, new construction in Forney is going anywhere from $300,000 up to $500,000, not really more than $600,000. So it's a very, very affordable suburb. Of course, you can get into Frisco or McKinney or these other neighborhoods prosper where they're, in the 7, 8, 9 or million plus, but that's just not the case in Forney. So if you're on a first-time home buyer or you don't have a lot of wiggle room, Forney is a great spot if you don't have a lot of cash on hand right now, because if you don't have cash, that's the issue with these other areas like Frisco, Prosper, McKinney, where homes are going for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, even $100,000 over asking price. I know that sounds crazy, but people have the cash to overbid on homes. And so if you're not working with a lot of cash or have a lot of cash on hand to do that, new construction is a great option for you. And also if you've got a smaller budget, not that there's anything wrong with that, but just if you want to stay within the $300,000, $400,000 to $500,000 range and you don't have a lot of room for overbidding on a house, then Forney is a great option as well. And everything's going to develop that way. So whatever you buy now, you're going to get some good appreciation built into your home over time. And it's growing so quickly out there that within 6 months to a year, your home is likely going to appreciate, and it usually always does inside a new construction community as well, especially if you get in before all the building has ceased, because as it develops out, it becomes less inventory, more desirable, and everything, there's less construction. So that's always drives the value up. So I would say sooner rather than later, but if you're working with a smaller budget, then definitely look at Forney as an option. It's very affordable. All right, number 2 pro of Forney is that it's close to Dallas. You're only about 20 minutes. You can jump on the highway, 20 minutes into downtown Dallas. You could go to South Dallas as well, but otherwise go to downtown Dallas. So the proximity is the great thing about that, because if you want to get away for the weekend to get into Dallas, or you want to even go for the day, it's an easy shot to just, bop over to downtown Dallas, hang out for the day, and then you got an easy shot back to Forney. So the proximity is very close, but you still, once you get out to Forney, you have some kind of country driving to get out there. You'll see some open fields. Again, everything is moving out there, but otherwise it'll be a nice, peaceful drive home. But again, kind of going back to one of the cons, the traffic on the way out to Forney, because it's mostly a 2-lane highway now. Right now is going to be, could be backed up at certain times. And if a car breaks down or if there's an accident with only there being 2 lanes, that's a problem as well. So just something to keep in mind, always account for that, especially if you're coming into Dallas. If you're going to be commuting, then you'll always want to check, traffic. But at the same time, if you're going to be commuting and you have to be at the office at a certain time every single day, then again, I think that the Waze app is really a big help to just program that in there. And you may have to leave at certain times in the morning to be able to get there at the right time. Just something to keep in mind. But other than that, I think it's a pro of how close Forney is to downtown Dallas. All right, number 3 pro of Forney is going to be that it is growing. That's actually a great thing. Some people may look at that because of all the new construction and everything going on, but that is great for your home value and home appreciation, especially if you get in now. If you get in now, then, especially you get into in a community, just like we discussed a little bit earlier, not always, but most likely a new construction community is always going to appreciate if you get in there before it's completed out, because as we just mentioned, people don't want to deal with construction or hear construction. And then whenever those projects complete, then that becomes a much more desirable area, right? Because everything's done and it's just move-in ready. But at the same time, all the homes have been sold at that point usually. So some investors use that as a strategy. If they can buy within a new construction community, they'll just buy early on in that phase development. And then as soon as it completes out, then they'll sell the home. Maybe they'll rent it for the next year or 2 as that phase or that community completes, and then they'll just sell it off after that. Rent it out for just to hold it for a couple of years, make a good cash flow that way, but then turn around and cash out, because that home will probably appreciate sometimes $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. And as we're seeing right now, new construction homes right now are appreciating, so to speak, about $20,000 to $30,000 per month. And that's mainly because of the cost of materials. So that's the other great thing about new construction right now, is whenever you lock in a contract, depends on the builder, but this is something we always work towards, is locking in your pricing when you lock in that contract. So even if your home isn't going to be finished for 3, 4, or 5 months, that's a great thing, is you could actually have some built-in equity by the time you close on your house, which is absolutely amazing. If you needed to do a cash out refi, which you usually have to wait 6 months to do that, you could likely pull out some cash pretty close to move in and do, you probably wouldn't have to do any repairs, but maybe you want to do something else. Maybe you want to pay off a credit card or a car or something like that. Maybe you need to pay for tuition. So you can do a cash out refi possibly at that point, if that's within your financial means. But of course, always consult a licensed mortgage professional and your CPA before you do that as well. But other than that, it's, I think a growing and developing area means opportunity more than it does downside. All right, last but not least, I would say the big pro of Forney is the school system. It's a pretty good school system. On average, the schools there are A-rated, so it just depends on the area. You want to look at what makes up that school rating though. So this is something that comes up all the time is people look at a school rating and they'll say, well, it's only rated a 5 or a 6 or a 7. That's not necessarily a bad thing. If you want to look at the academics and the test scores, that is different than what some of the other things they may rate a school on. So you just want to make sure you understand all the parameters that go into that school rating. But otherwise, Forney is mostly 7, 8s, 9s, and 10s, and that averages out to a good solid A for the most of the school ratings around there. But again, always check and verify the school that's going to feed into the property you're looking into, and that always comes back on the buyer as their responsibility. And so even whenever we mention these types of things in our videos, it's always subject to, at the time that we make these videos, things could change, school districts could change, or as far as the which homes are assigned to, and as these communities develop, they could rezone it from one district to the next. So there's just a lot of variables in there. So you always just want to verify, before you purchase a home, what school system that they're feeding into. And so that should help you out. But always look at what is actually making up that rating so that you don't let a 6 or a 7 rating deter you from, passing up on a great opportunity on a home just because of some other alternative that may affect that score. But other than that, it should be pretty good there in Forney. That pretty much concludes our pros and cons of Forney. Again, overall, I think it's a great area. We've been having a lot of success for our clients, finding them some great homes in that community as well. And they really, really love it. And so we've got great relationships with most of the builders in that area. And that's what you need in this time right now. You need the right team to make the right offers for you. And we have been very, very successful, not just on new construction, but also with pre-existing homes as well, as far as winning deals for our clients. We take every single house on a case-by-case basis, and we've not had to make more than 2 or 3 offers for all of our clients, because when we make an offer on a house, we make an offer to win that offer. We don't just make offers, we just don't throw them out there. We understand and work on that offer offline as much as possible before we submit an offer to make sure that we have the best opportunity to win that home for you. So if you're struggling with someone else, or maybe you've been a little bit frustrated trying to find a home as well, hey, we've been very successful in doing that. We've been helping several people that have just not been having luck. This last client that we helped just last week had lost out on 6 different homes, and we got him a house within 3 days and got it on the first try. And that's just the success we're having. I think it takes the right team in place, and the team that we've got here at the Living in Dallas, Texas team is just absolutely amazing. They're all very professional and really have your best interest at heart. So make sure to give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. And whether you're moving in 9 days or 90 days, either way, then we are happy to help you make a smooth move to Dallas. So till next time, well, we hope to see you around town.